And that's feedback.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Your Gita wise?
Yes, live on Gita wise.
Hare Krishna.
मैं करता
There's some maybe one more. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Ashtakadeshwarine Om Jnana-timirandasya Dhananjana-shalakaya Chakshurumritam yena Tasmai Shri-gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Prabhupada Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagaranavinam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sadhana Lalita Shri Krishna Paramahamsa Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopena Gopikanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu-sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha-kalpa-tarubhyascha Kripa-sindhu-varevacha Patitanam-pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. We continue reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavat Purana, Canto 4. No, Canto 1, sorry. Well, here it says Canto 4. That should be also Canto 1, the matter of creation. There you go. Chapter 9, the passing away of Bhishmadev. Text 26. Purusha Svabhava Vihitam Yata Varnam Yata Sramam Vairagya Raghupadhivyam Amnotobhaya Lakshanam Purusa Svabhavihitam Yata Varnam Yata Sramam Vairagya Raghupadhivyam Amnotobhaya Lakshanam Purusa Svabhavihitam Tavarnam Yatashramam Vairagya Raghupadhivyam Amnatobhaya Lakshanam
Purusha Svabhava Vihitam
Purusha Svabhava Vihitam
Yatha Varnam यथा स्मरम्
यथा वर्णं यथा शास्त्रम्
वैराग्य राघोपाधियम्
वैराग्यादिपादित्यम्
अन्नतोभ्यलक्षणम्
अन्नतोऽभ्यलक्षणम् पुरुषास्वभावविहितम् यथा वर्णं यथाश्रमम् वैराग्यरघुपादिभ्यम् अमनातो भयलक्षणम्
पुरुषा स्वभावविहिता यथा वर्णं यथा आश्रमम् वैराग्यारगोपादिभ्याम् अम्नातोऽभ्यलक्षणम् पुरुषा स्वभावविहितान् यथा वर्णं यथाश्रमम् वैराग्यादिभ्याम् अम्नातोऽभयलक्षणम् पुरुषा स्वभावविहितान् यथा वर्णं यथाश्रमम् वैराग्यरागोपादिभ्यम् अमनातोऽभयलक्षणम् पुरुषा स्वभावविहितान् यथा वर्णं यथाश्रमम् वैराग्यरागोपादिभ्यम् अम्नातोऽभयलक्षणम्
The word meaning? Purusha, the human being, Swabhava, by his own acquired qualities, Vihitan, prescribed, Yatha, according to, Varna, classification of castes, Yatha, according to, Ashrama, order of life, Vairagya, detachment, Raga, attachment, Upadibhyam, out of such designations, Amnata, systematically, Uvaya, both, Lakshana, symptoms. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, yay. At Maharaj Yudhishthira's inquiry, Bhismadev first defined all the qualifications of castes and orders of life in terms of the individual's qualifications. Then he systematically, in twofold divisions, described counteraction by detachment and interaction by attachment. Everybody please repeat. At Maharaj Yudhishthira's inquiry, Bhismadev first defined all the classifications of castes and orders of life in terms of the individual's qualifications. Then he systematically, in twofold divisions, describe counteraction by detachment and interaction by attachment. Purport. The conception of four castes and four orders of life as planned by the Lord Himself, chapter 4, text 13 of the Bhagavad Gita, is to accelerate transcendental qualities of the individual person so that he may gradually realize his spiritual identity and thus act accordingly to get free from material bondage or conditional life. In almost all the Puranas, the subject matter is described in the same spirit. And so also in the Mahabharata, it is more elaborately described by Bhishmadev in the Shanti Parva, beginning from the 60th chapter. The Varnashram Dharma is prescribed for the civilized human being just to train him to successfully terminate human life. Self-realization is distinguished from the life of the lower animals engaged in eating, sleeping, hearing, and mating. Bhishmadev advised for all human beings 9 qualifications. 1. Not to become angry. 2. Not to lie. 3. To equally distribute wealth. 4. To forgive. 5. To beget children only by one's legitimate wife. 6. To be pure in mind and hygienic in body. 7. Not to be inimical toward anyone. 8. To be simple. And 9. To support servants or subordinates. One cannot be called a civilized person without acquiring the above-mentioned preliminary qualities. Besides this, the Brahmanas, the intelligent man, the administrative man, the mercantile community, and the laborer class must acquire special qualities in terms of occupational duties mentioned in all the Vedic scriptures. For the intelligent man, controlling the senses is the most essential qualification. It is the basis of morality. Sex indulgence, even with a legitimate wife, must also be controlled, and thereby family control will automatically follow. An intelligent man abuses his great qualifications if he does not follow the Vedic way of life. This means he must seriously make a study of the Vedic literatures, especially the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita. For learning Vedic knowledge, one must approach a person who is 100% engaged in devotional service. He must not do things which are forbidden in the Shastras. A person cannot be a teacher if he drinks or smokes. In the modern system of education, the teacher's academic qualification is taken into consideration without evaluation of his moral life. Therefore, the result of education is misuse of high intelligence in so many ways. The Kshatriya, the member of the administrative class, is especially advised to give charity and not accept charity in any circumstances. Modern administrators raise subscriptions for some political functions, but never give charity to the citizens in any state function. But never give charity to the citizens in any state function. It is just the reverse in the injunctions of the Shastras. The administrative class must be well versed in the Shastras, but must not take to the profession of teachers. Their energy should be specially directed toward killing the thieves, the dacoits, the black marketers, and all such undesirable elements of society. The administrators should never pretend to become non-violent and thereby go to hell. When Arjuna wanted to become a non-violent coward on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he was severely chastised by Lord Krishna. The Lord degraded Arjuna at that time to the status of an uncivilized man for his avowed acceptance of the cult of non-violence. The administrative class must be personally trained in military education. Cowards should not be elevated to the presidential throne by dint of numerical votes only. The monarchs were all chivalrous personalities, and therefore monarchy should be maintained provided the monarch is regularly trained in the occupational duties of a king. In fighting, the king or the president should never return home without being hurt by the enemy. The so-called king of today never visits the war field. He is very much expert in artificially encouraging the fighting strength in the hope of false national prestige. As soon as the administrative class is turned into a gang of mercantile and labor men, the whole machinery of government becomes polluted. The Vaishyas, the members of the mercantile communities, are especially advised to protect the cows. Cow protection means increasing the milk productions, namely yogurt and butter. Agriculture and distribution of the foodstuff are the main or primary duties of the mercantile community, backed by education in Vedic knowledge and trained to give in charity. As the Kshatriyas were given charge of the protection of the citizens, Vaishyas were given the charge of the protection of animals. Animals are never meant to be killed. Killing of animals is a symptom of barbarian society. For a human being, agricultural produce, fruits and milk are sufficient and compatible foodstuffs. The human society should give more attention to animal protection. The productive energy of the laborer is misused when he is occupied by industrial enterprises. Industry of various types cannot produce the essential needs of man, namely rice, wheat, grains, milk, fruits, and vegetables. The production of machines and machine tools increases the artificial living function or fashion of a class of vested interest and keep thousands of men in starvation and unrest. This is not the standard of civilization. The Sudra class is less intelligent and should have no independence. They are meant for rendering sincere service to the three higher sections of the society. The Sudra class can attain all comforts of life simply by rendering service to the higher classes. It is especially enjoined that a Sudra should never bank money. As soon as the Sudras accumulate wealth, it will be misused for sinful activities in wine, women, and gambling. Wine, women, and gambling indicate that the population is degraded to less than Sudra quality. The higher caste should always look after the maintenance of the sudras, and they should provide them with old and used garments. A sudra should never leave his master when the master is old and invalid. And the master should keep the servants satisfied in all respects. The sudras must first of all be satisfied by sumptuous food and clothing before any sacrifice is performed. In this age, so many functions are held by spending millions, but to the poor laborer is not sumptuously fed or given charity, clothing, etc. The laborers are thus dissatisfied, and so they make agitation. The varnas are, so to speak, classifications of different occupations, and ashrama dharma is gradual progress on the path of self-realization. Both are interrelated and one is dependent on the other. The main purpose of ashram dharma is to awaken knowledge and detachment. The brahmachari ashram is a training ground for the prospective candidates, and in this ashram it is instructed that this material world is not actually the home of the living being. The conditioned souls under material bondage are prisoners of matter, and therefore self-realization is the ultimate aim of life. The whole system of ashram dharma is a means to detachment. One who fails to assimilate this spirit of detachment is allowed to enter into family life with the same spirit of detachment. Therefore, one who attains detachment may at once adopt the fourth order, namely renounced, and thus live on charity only, not to accumulate wealth, but just to keep body and soul together for ultimate realization. Household life is for one who is attached, and the vanaprastha and sannyas orders of life are for those who are detached from material life. The brahmachari ashram is especially meant for training both detached and detached. Srila Prabhupada came.
Jai.
Any questions? It's a long purport. Prabhupada explained everything so clear. Yes.
So here it says like Shudras should not keep anything or enjoy anything, right? But then the higher class should give them charity, clothing, and some special food. So
Yeah. But what is the purpose of this? It says used and old garments. I remember. Remember that? Because sudras, usually they are not intelligent, but it is needed to complete the social structure. Without the sudras, who will clean the streets? Huh? Who will build your house? They're supposedly not meant to give so much wealth so that they'll be able to maintain themselves only and continue to serve the upper three higher classes in the society, namely the Vaishya, Kshatriyas, and the Brahmanas. So this is what makes the perfect civilization. And as Prabhupada says here, they are interrelated. Yeah, the sudras, usually they are not well versed in the Shastra, but it is essential to have that class in the society. In Kali Yuga it says, Shastra says, Kalo Sudra Sambhava. Everyone is a Sudra. There's no qualified Brahmana. But one can become a Brahmana, especially when he takes initiation. The spiritual master gives this Brahminical initiation. It's like turning bell metal into gold. As example was given. So here, what I gathered from the whole purport is about attachment and detachment. Attachment and detachment. Let's see the word that Prabhupada used. Vairagya, detachment, and raga. Raga means attachment or ashakti. Now one can be attached both either materially or spiritually. But one also should be detached from being attached. This word is very important. Ultimately, whatever designations we are playing, the role that we are in, should lead to purification of the heart. So these different roles are there in the society and the spiritual orders to complement each other, that ultimately I have to give up these designations. Because the soul is not a Sudra, the soul is not a Brahmana, or Vaishya, Kshatriya, Sannyas. The goal of life is not to become sannyas. But all of us, the goal of life is to become detached from this material world. So these different designations are temporary. It's like in India, the misconception of the caste system, saying that, oh, my father is a Brahmana, therefore I'm also a Brahmana, even if you don't qualify to be Brahmana. Now the qualifications of the Brahmana is described in the Bhagavad Gita. Samot, Sotcham, Astatyam, knowledgeable, you're clean, detached, and all these things. You're austere. So, Prabhupada says also, at least, there should be a class in the society to be Brahmanas. And in India, yes, Prabhupada gave that example. If your father is a lawyer, does it mean you are also a lawyer? No, you have to be qualified, yeah? You have to go to the law school, maybe in Harvard or Oxford. There's some institution. I don't know, Georgia Tech has a law school? Is there a law school? No, I don't think so. It's technical. Engineering, scientist. So the issue here is that how we can live our life. It's like we have that question last night. You just do your dharma, you just do your karma, and then that's it. No, you have to include Krishna. It's not good enough to do what you call your karma. If your karma is that of your being a Kshatriya, but nowadays, who is a Kshatriya? No. Because since here, Kshatriya means you also must be well versed in the scripture. Because as a Kshatriya, the role is to lead the people, to protect. In the Vedic times, the kings, they are meant to be the representative of the Supreme Lord. Like the Father, you are representative also of the Supreme Lord. To be a father, because one should not be a king One should not be a teacher. One should not be a parent. If you cannot release, one should not be a spiritual master. If you cannot release your subjects from the cycle of repeated birth and death. So you must know the Sastra also, even if you're a Sattviya. The Sudras, they may not or may know. But if they're doing their duty, they elevate themselves to become ultimately a devotee of the Supreme Lord. If a Sudra just chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, offer his food to Lord Krishna, he'll become a devotee also. That's why we're teaching the Bhagavad Gita. We're giving everyone an opportunity. We are proposing everyone, please take this. It's like a proposal. You please take it, and your life will become sublime. So now, in this part, Bhishmadev now is starting to teach. Yudhishthira Maharaj is starting to instruct about this Varnashram program. Different classifications in the society, the orders in the society, and also different classes or orders in the spiritual life. These are just like stepping stone. According to our nature, we will be, what's that? Chatur Banyam Maya Shishram Guna Karma Vibhadasha. According to the qualities that we acquired and according to our karma that we are having right now because of the past. Accordingly, then this different Varna and Ashram, we will have different qualities according to the modes of material nature. Brahmana is supposed to be in the mode of goodness. Kshatriyas is mode of passion. Vaishya is supposed to be mixed. Passion and ignorance. And Sudra is in the mode of ignorance. But ultimately, one should go beyond these modes of material nature by becoming detached from the role that they are playing. It's like a role. It's like an actor. The actor who's playing the role is not his real self. Outside of the cinema, he goes home with his family. But then within your family, you must be Krishna conscious. When you're playing the role, you may or you may not be Krishna conscious, but you're playing the role. So you must be detached from that role. Sometimes, I'm sure, when we used to watch movies, we also identify with the hero. Correct?
Yep.
Yeah, and then we will cry. And we will laugh. Yeah? Because we identify, with the cinema. We think that, oh, I'm that person. But we're not that person, we're different. So we should be detached. And that detachment can be accomplished when we follow the process of bhakti. So everyone must follow bhakti here. Whether you're a brahmachari. So each and everyone, every roles that we play, we have some certain attachment that we should have. And we have that attachment, but we have to be detached from that attachment also. Do you understand? Yeah? It's natural. Having this material body means we're attached to this body. Who is not attached to this body? How many times you look into the mirror? There was an elevator in California. So people get bored when they go to the elevator, right? Because it's high-rise building, 60 floors, 90 floors. So if you live from 90th floor, it'll be boring from ground floor going up. So What the owner of the building did is he put mirrors everywhere, in all corners. So now they're not bored. They're not bored now because they can see themselves. They can comb their hair, a little bit of makeup here. The greatest attachment that we have is this body, irregardless. So the brahmacharis, they have to be attached to guru, to shastra. They have to be attached and cultivating knowledge. The brahmacharis are like that. Brahmachari means cultivation of knowledge. Now the grihasthas, they are attached to the bodily comforts of family life. They're attached to their wife, or they're attached to their husband, or they're attached to the family. And we were talking about that yesterday, that the children are not your property. They are sent by Lord Krishna for you to take care and for them to grow up to be Krishna conscious, to help them. Similarly, if you're attached to your wife, the attachment should be how you can be mutually have good understanding that Krishna should be the center of your life. That is real attachment. If you're attached for sense enjoyment, then that is very, very troublesome. Prabhupada says attachment to material things means bondage in the material world. Attachment to Krishna means liberation, going back to Godhead. Same, Ashakti. We found that in the Adosada Tatusadu Sangha, Vajana Kriya, then there is Ashakti. So we should be attached to Krishna. It doesn't matter what role we play. If Krishna again is the center, then nevertheless we'll be able to get out of this material world. We have to be renounced ultimately, all of us. The brahmachari can be having this attachment and detachment at the same time. If he is attached to have a wife ultimately, because brahmacharis, they can have a choice. I can continue on to be celibate for the rest of my life, or I can get married. Now, when you become married, that is grihastha ashram. Still, that is the platform whereby you can learn also. The best platform how to learn how to become detached. And we mentioned this many times. The grihasthas, according to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, is the best ashram in Kali Yuga. Because you will learn quickly. You will learn a lot. If you really want to be Krishna conscious, you will learn so fast how to become detached. Now, if you are a materialist in the Grihastha ashram, it's not called Grihastha, that's Grihamedi now. Sense enjoyers in the householder life, which means one will prolong one's being here in the material world. So you have to be detached also. But it may take a long time because you don't have knowledge. But for those who have contact, Krishna consciousness, have contact with the devotees, then they'll start to think, oh yes, that makes sense. I'm not really enjoying here. It's like chewing the chewed. It's like in India, they have this sugar cane. They will put them in this machine. How many times? Until one drop is going to be there, they will still keep putting and putting and putting. But that one drop practically doesn't have any more sweetness. So chewing the chewed, this is our problem. Material sense enjoyment is like that, like a bubble gum, a chiclet, juicy fruit. Call it juicy fruit, right? You chew and chew and chew. There's no more taste. In Grihastha ashram, you should learn this immediately. Now there's Vanaprastha ashram. In the Vanaprastha ashram, one should start because the husband and wife reach a certain age where there's what we call retirement. Vanaprastha means retirement. In the Shastra says retirement is at the age of 50. Because our life expectancy is supposed to be 100 years old. But who lives for 100 years this time? Maybe our parents, they live up to 90s. Very fortunate. One can live even 80 years old. Our era, 80. Vedant, maybe 60. I'm sorry to say, the lifestyle of these kids is different now.
Yeah.
They sleep 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. I'm not saying about you. They play video games. Their mind is so distracted by the media, by the videos. In school, what they eat, all junk food. Yeah? That's why these days it became popular, this organic or vegan or whatever you call it. There's no such thing as organic. No. FDA, they just put their approval and they don't really know what's inside. Especially if you eat meat, oh Hare Krishna, you'll get cancer. That's why Kali Yuga says at the age of 35 in Kali Yuga, you'll be considered to be old. So how are you going to go? How are you going to go back to Godhead? That's why Prahlad Maharaj says at the tender age of 5, now is the best time to start to be Krishna conscious. But what about us? Some of us have come in contact with Krishna consciousness in our late 30s, 40s. I have come in contact with Krishna consciousness at the age of 14, but then I joined at the age of 22. Yeah. So these are very, very fortunate children. It is not how you start in Krishna consciousness. It's how you finish. It is not a race. It's how you take it seriously. It's how you realize immediately that this place is not meant for me. So Vanaprastha age means supposed to be 50 years old. And I've seen some grihastas, the husband and wife, they live or they sleep in a different room. I've seen it. I mean, I know, because sometimes I would stay in Grihastha ashram, their homes. Their attachment towards their family members now started to become detached. Because the children, they have their own life to live now. And therefore, the Vanaprastha, instead of becoming attached to just doing nothing, because laziness can be there once you reach a certain age. Therefore, they will go travel in holy places, not for sightseeing as tourists. Like some, instead of going to the holy dome, retired people, the expats, they would call it expats. Yeah? They will go to Paris, see the Eiffel Tower. They will go to London, see the Big Ben and the Eye. They will go to Germany. They will go to Europe, or they will go to Mexico. Or they will retire in Florida. Yeah? Is that true or not?
That's true.
No, it should not be like that. When you retire, really retire. In Krishna consciousness, ultimately there is no retirement. Because we are in an eternal marathon here to help the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to spread Krishna consciousness. So the husband and wife will be also together going to these pilgrimages, but they don't have any more contact physically. But they are there together to help each other. That is detachment. That is detachment. Now, when they become detached materially, what happens? You become attached spiritually. It's either or. You cannot be in between. You can plan, there is an interim state. That's fine. But ultimately, the result is that one should become more and more absorbed into Krishna. So yes, accordingly to our qualification, we have respective attachment that we need to become detached. And for the sannyasis, their attachment is preaching and spreading Krishna consciousness. We should be attached to that. There is no point of taking the renounced order of life if one will not preach. In Kali Yuga, sannyas ashram is forbidden. It is very difficult ashram. It's not so easy. But if you're attached to Krishna, then it is easy. So it's a gradual process. The grihastas, they have license for sense enjoyment, but ultimately they have to give that up one time or another. So, yes, ultimately, there's a very nice here. And this will take another class, Bhishmadev's advice for all human beings. 9 qualifications. Each one of them we can discuss. But the whole import of this purport or the verse is how not to be attached materially, but be attached to Krishna. Detached from our different so-called material roles. Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas, these are material roles. Meant for us to ultimately to purify our hearts and ultimately become Krishna conscious. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, I'm not a sannyasi. I'm not a brahmana. I'm not a satya. I'm not any of this. Who am I? Gopi, Bhartu, Padakamalayor, Dasa, Dasa, Dasa. Anudasa. And I'm a servant. So we have to somehow come to that level where we realize that I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul. That's your answer to your question. Any other question? Yes.
In those 9 points, it says to be
Excuse me?
in the 9 points in the purport.
Yeah,
it
9
says
points.
To be simple.
To be simple.
So,
What does that mean?
yes.
To be content. To be satisfied to whatever you have. Don't over-endeavor. Nectar of instruction. Yeah, one should not over-endeavor. Be satisfied. But then we may have to say, I want to have a race. I want to come to at least vice president of the company or something, or a managing position, managerial position. If you are meant to be having that role again, why not? But we should not endeavor and become envious of others. Because the tendency to be envious is always going to be there. As long as we have this material body. Material body means enviousness. We want to be what we're not meant to be. No, just play our role. Whatever is given to us, whatever Krishna gave us, whatever comes along the way. You know, the gamblers, they're not satisfied. They're not simple. They're already losing. They want to win. They're already winning, and they'll end up losing. Is that simple? No. That's crooked-minded. Simple means satisfied. Being happy. A devotee is simple-minded. As Prabhupada says, Krishna consciousness is for the simple-minded, for the ones who are content, satisfied. Of course, we also mentioned one should be greedy for Krishna. But that is also being simple. Because it is for Krishna. Everything for Krishna, no problem. Everything for me, big problem. So we should not over-endeavor. But at the same time, we should always think for the best for Krishna. Kalavacha Sridhar, again, our Guru Maharaj always gives like Kalavacha Sridhar. So simple. But he's happy. Having darshan of Nimai, of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu every day. Yes?
Maharaj, did Arjuna over endeavor, or do you think that he did what is simple?
Well, Arjuna actually is not wanting to play his role. He's thinking for his own benefit. He says, what is the use of enjoying the kingdom whereby all of your kinsmen and friends are dead? Did he say that?
Yep.
Yeah. But he's thinking that enjoyment is being with them. Enjoyment is being with Krishna, following Krishna's instruction, following Guru's instruction. That is real happiness. He's finding happiness for himself to go to the forest is material. And because he's a saintly person, he is Raja Rishi. He's a saintly Satriya. A Satriya can be saintly, like the kings. So their duty is to play their role, but Krishna is the central focus. For Krishna's pleasure. We can be in any classes in the society, we can be in any roles in social and spiritual life, but Krishna should be the center. That is genuine detachment. So Arjuna, yes, is still in the bodily concept there. Even though he's a pure devotee of the Lord, Krishna put him in that role for our benefit. No one else can do that role. A conditioned soul will not be able to understand the Bhagavad Gita, not until he realizes that I should do it for Krishna's pleasure. So seemingly, Arjuna is a conditioned soul. He is not. He's a pure devotee. But again, the difference between the pure devotee, Krishna can make him also forgetful. So Arjuna, he says, you and I were there. When I spoke this science to the sun god Vivasvan, you were there. So the only difference between Lord Krishna and the living beings is that Krishna always remembers. He is never forgetful. That's why he becomes obliged to his devotees. Whatever small service they've done for him, eternally he is indebted. And he will reciprocate accordingly. Prabhupada says that also, the only difference between you, that means he's pointing out to his disciples, and myself is not, I will not fall into Maya. As long as we are connected to Krishna, we will not also fall into Maya. But we are in the Tatashta Shakti, marginal energy. So there will be a tendency for us to be forgetful of Krishna and also to always remember Krishna.
I have a follow-up question.
Follow-up, okay.
So Maharaj, like you put in so much effort in preaching, you put in so much effort in preaching.
Yeah.
Guru Maharaj did the same, Prabhupada did the same.
Mhm.
You're over endeavor, right?
It's
so
not.
No.
There is no over endeavoring in Krishna.
You have stretched yourself and you have done things. So is that the right kind? Because people have energy, Maharaj.
You see, for Krishna, it's unlimited. For material things, it's limited. That's why you are endeavoring. To serve the Vaishnavas unlimitedly is for Krishna's pleasure as well. And you become happy. I wish I can do this 24 hours, but I cannot do this. The mind has to have some rest also.
Yes.
Yeah. When we take rest, I was telling this to one devotee yesterday. When we take rest, the body is not resting. The body is dead. Who is resting? It's the mind. Do you understand? Huh? The body is dead.
Understood it now.
Huh?
Understood it now.
Understood it now? Is that okay?
Yes.
For Krishna is unlimited. We can do unlimited, no problem. But we're still in this body and the mind is still part of the body. The soul is full of energy. The soul never takes rest, actually. It is spiritual. It is the mind which is included in the material body that needs to take rest. Yeah? So you should also, over-endeavoring for Krishna will give us unlimited reward. Over-endeavoring in material platform will eternally also give us more and more suffering, more repeated birth and death. Who raised? Okay, Mataji, she hasn't. How?
Detachment while doing prescribed duties.
Yes. How do we practice detachment while doing our duties? So we should always think that I'm doing this for Krishna. If my mindset, the monk mindset, is that I'm a spirit soul and I'm only doing this for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna, you'll be detached. You'll be detached. You may not see it externally, But eventually you will also feel it, that whatever result happens, I'll be detached. It's not that you don't care. That is another thing. We care, but we are not attached to the result. We should care for everything that we do with love and devotion. If you're devoted to the Lord, whatever He does is with love and devotion. So He's detached. Krishna may be award Him or not, no. He will still continue doing what He is doing. So He's detached in that way. Yes?
Maharaj, you said, like, we can understand different roles in the material life. But when you said,
Please. Yes?
when you said different roles in spiritual life, what are the different roles in spiritual life?
Well, we have our original spiritual identity. Our role in spiritual life is always to serve. It doesn't matter what form we have in this spiritual world. That will be taken care of later on. But our mode right now is always to serve without expectation of the result. Only want to serve and please Krishna. That is our spiritual role. Is that clear? That's clear, isn't it? Okay.
Maharaj, regarding the Shudras,
Regarding the Shudras,
so the thing is, it's said like they are less intelligent and they cannot,
Yeah.
for being less intelligent, they cannot cultivate knowledge.
yeah.
So then, is it possible for them to go back home, back to
Oh
Bhagavad,
yes.
without cultivating knowledge about
Without cultivating knowledge. You don't have to cultivate knowledge when you chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Sudras get initiated also. Yeah? The Guru says, you're in a Sudra category. Out. That's why the mercy of the devotees of the Lord is so powerful that they can save anyone, even the most sinful personality, if they follow the instruction of the spiritual master. Prabhupada gave initiation to a butcher in Paris. That's simple, isn't it? That's why if you're going to work in such a way that less karma is there. And if it's unavoidable, give some of the fruits of your labor to Krishna. Then you become karma free. So then, when Prabhupada spoke to him at the time of initiation, he says, now no more sinful activities. No more. So everyone can become purified if they follow the process, instructions coming from the spiritual master. Okay. All right. No, hold on. Yes, Amrita.
So you told about the retirement. So what is the criteria for retirement?
Criteria for retirement? We don't retire. I already told you this.
Even materially,
Huh?
even material jobs, you don't retire?
You see, again, the soul is always active. If in the material platform, your age is like, what is the age of retirement in America?
65.
65? How old are you? Okay, don't answer. Some they say, oh, I want early retirement. Yeah? Why? Or they want to get the pension immediately. Or they want, okay, I will wait till 65, so I'll get full pension. So the purpose of their retirement is materially or could be physically, the health. So you have to know yourself. If while being here in America and you are still strong at the age of 65, you may stop working and start also this vanaprastha mentality. You can continue preaching also, even at the age of 65 onwards. So spiritually, yes, there is no retirement, but you should know your limit as well. Some devotees, because of physical health, it will prevent them to work even at the age of 60 or even before that. So you have to know your physical strength. In this way, if you can have your full pension and use also whatever the Lakshmi you receive from the government in spreading Krishna consciousness, why not? So save a little bit, know your stamina, know how to preserve your energy. I was seeing this video of a race, like a marathon, and the second place woman, you never thought that she will be the winner, because the one who's leading is full of energy, and the second one seems to be like no more energy, losing breath. But in the last 10 meters, she sprinted and she won the race. So again, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. In Krishna consciousness. So materially also, you have to know your health, your physical strength. Don't push it to 65 to get full pension while you're already ailing. Yeah? If at work you still be able to preach just before the age of 65 is reached, keep working. You're not working anymore, you're preaching. Okay? Alright, anything else? Very good.
There is
Who?
a question.
Yes.
So you said the butcher got initiated, right? So after he got initiated, the butcher who got initiated, did he leave his job? Did he stop?
What do you think?
Yes.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Of course.
Then how he will find his meaning?
Huh?
How he
Well, he became a brahmachari. When you become a brahmachari, you're fully dependent on Krishna. And we mentioned this, I think it was yesterday. Krishna always provides. Okay?
Maharaj, one last question.
Huh?
One last question.
Okay, sure.
You mentioned that you can do this 24 hours.
Yeah, even while sleeping, you can serve Krishna.
So in that case,
That sleeping is that resting is actually part of your seva, so that you can continue on. Is what it means.
so in that case, would you mind settling down in Atlanta?
But that's not the role of the sannyasi. To stay in one place. We have to keep moving also. We have to keep moving because ultimately the sannyasi, they don't have residence.
So you can move from, Duluth to Romania.
Where?
Within Atlanta
You
itself.
know,
Different.
visit your
Oh,
cities.
Who knows? Whatever Krishna, whatever Guru says, we should do. We follow. Guru Maharaj says I should spend some time in Delhi as well. And I have not fulfilled that instruction yet. That is in the pipeline. In Delhi, there are about 22 now, maybe 24 centers. So if I stay 3 days, one center, how long do you think I'll be able to go around? Huh? How many?
2.5 months.
2.5 months.
2.5 months in Delhi alone. But I had also some role to play in Vrindavan. And there are God siblings also in different parts of the world. See, I'm doing a traveling whereby Guru Maharaj was not able to do it. Like Australia, the UK. Somehow, some were God brothers, they're not able to travel like I do. So that's the difference. Okay? Mother?
I just wanted to, I remember what Guru Maharaj said in one of his lectures, that the devotees sleep.
The
and that
devotees
sleep.
Sleep.
And that sleeping is also service for Krishna because they're
Yeah.
resting to do more seva.
Yeah. That's right. That's why they're serving 24 hours. Krishna. Even the sleep itself is a service. But don't sleep too much. Don't eat too much pasada and sleep all day long. Yeah? That is one of the attachment for the retired people. They just want to take rest but not doing anything. Yeah. Okay? Muchas gracias. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Bhishmadev ki Jai. Guru Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Go Shitanath Mandir.